and they win the NFC South.
What's good, everybody? Let's talk some Tampa sports. First preview of the year. Bucs, Falcons, Mercedes-Benz, 1 o'clock. Come on, man. I wanted to wear this hat during this video, but from what I've heard, Super Bowls, big games, showing up when it matters is a scary topic in North Georgia. So I need the views. I'm not going to wear the hat. I don't want to scare off the Falcons fans that come across this video. Just kidding. Don't leave. Don't leave. I know it's scary. You don't know what that's all about. But, yeah, I'll try to. My challenge was to not say 28-3 during this entire video, but damn it, I just said it. Okay, no, I'm done. Let's talk ball. It's week 1. I'm just so happy that I can mess with an opposing team's fan base, and I hope they clap back, because that's what sports is about. That's what fandom's about. I love it. We're back. We're back, baby. On a serious note, let's start with last year. It's week 1. Let's start with last year. Last year, Falcons fans will love to hear me talk about this. They swept the Buccaneers, as we know, in what they like to call Kirktober. 36-30 in Atlanta in week 5. 31-26 in Tampa in week 8. Kirktober was real. Absolutely dominated the Bucs. If I'm the Falcons, just throw Kirk out there. He'll find a way to beat us. Yeah. It's funny because so much of the talk I've seen from Falcons fans and some of their media is just that if Kirk Cousins did what he did against the Buccaneers, imagine what Penix is going to do against the Buccaneers. And I just don't think that's how it works. Let's be honest for a second. And I'm a Penix believer. I'm probably higher on Penix than your average NFL viewer. I love his arm talent, and of course I have bias towards him. I hate that he plays for the Falcons, but he's a Tampa kid just like me, born and raised. But yeah, that's not how it works. Just because Kirk Cousins did it does not mean Michael Penix is going to do it. And I will stamp this right here. Kirk Cousins put up 409 yards and 4 touchdowns and walked out with a win in Mercedes-Benz. So I'm going to make a proclamation, a friendly wager with Falcons fans. Let me go full screen for this. So my plans this weekend are driving right up I-75. On Saturday, we're making a stop in Gainesville for UF versus USF. Watch that game, driving up that night, getting a hotel in Atlanta, and then going to Mercedes-Benz for Bucs Falcons. Now, if Michael Penix Jr. throws for over 500 yards, at least 4 touchdowns, and beats the Buccaneers, I will personally go to the team store at Mercedes-Benz, buy a Falcons shirt or hat, whatever, and wear it on Monday during my game recap. I will go give the Falcons team store some money, wear Falcons gear on Monday during my recap if Michael Penix does what Kirk Cousins did to the Bucs. That's not how it works. That's not how it happens. I'm tired of hearing, if Kirk Cousins did that, imagine what Penix is going to do. I'm a Penix believer, but he's played 3 games, and Todd Bowles has something coming for him. Todd Bowles, you give him an entire offseason to game plan for an offense, you're usually in trouble. He's 3 for 3 right now in Tampa the last 3 years. I'll pull it up. Last year, talk about a guy with not very much experience. Jaden Daniels went in week 1 against the Buccaneers. The Bucs blew him out, 37-20. The year before that, speaking of Kirk Cousins, the Bucs went to Minnesota and beat them 20-17. And then in Todd Bowles' first season with a honestly pretty bad Bucs team, went to Dallas and won 19-3. Only gave up a field goal in Dallas. You give Todd Bowles an entire offseason, usually based on proven past, proven results, it's trouble. So you got that going for the Bucs and Todd Bowles. And you also got going for the Bucs and Todd Bowles is what Todd Bowles usually, not all the time, he's not a perfect defensive coach by any means, but usually shows out against rookie/young quarterbacks without much experience. And once again, only 3 full games for Michael Penix Jr. He is considered not technically a rookie, but a guy with very little experience. He's going to show him some crazy looks that he has not seen. Todd Bowles, I foresee, will be ready. Is Penix up for the task? Like I said, I'm high on Penix. I'm sure he's going to make some insane throws where I'm sitting there in my seat like, how? All right, and then last thing I want to discuss about last season, I'm not going to get into injuries and things like that. We all know the circumstances that were played between the two teams. Turnover battle. That's what needs to be talked about, because that's something you can control. You can't control injuries. So let's talk about the controllables. That is turnovers. The Bucs lost the turnover battle, a total between the two games 4-0. They did not get 1 fumble, 1 interception against the Atlanta Falcons. Meanwhile, the Falcons got 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions on Baker Mayfield. That has to change. If you're going to turn the ball over, which turnovers do happen, you have to make some plays on the defensive side of the ball and get some of your own. Punch the ball out. Make a play on defense and intercept Michael Penix Jr. Like, these things have to happen. Thankfully, the personnel should be better. Let's pull up the injury report. I don't even want to. All right, man. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously, Mike Evans, it's a rest day. Chris Godwin, we knew wouldn't play. Christian Izien, the versatile defensive backup safety, looks like he will not play, likely after missing both Wednesday and Thursday. The surprise of the week, Vita Vea, foot injury, did not practice yesterday or today. It's becoming concerning in my head, obviously, because of the player and the game record that Vita Vea is. I'm not going to throw my arms up like, no. Let's see what happens Friday. Maybe they're just trying to keep him off of his foot, quite literally, until Friday. Give him a little bit of a walkthrough. Vita Vea is a veteran. It's not like he needs all of these reps. We'll see what that status says tomorrow. That's the big one to watch for both teams, for Bucs fans and Falcons fans. If Vita Vea isn't playing, that's a major deal, because we knew Godwin, we knew Wirfs weren't going to play. Benjamin Morrison finally is making his way back. He was limited Wednesday, limited Thursday. We'll see if he will be able to go on Sunday, and I hope to see him. He's talented. He's one of those playmakers we were just talking about, needing to get turnovers. He's a playmaker, proved it in college, now coming into the NFL, second-round pick, first-round talent, just dealing with injuries. He needs to be on the field for the Bucs this season. He needs to be healthy because he is a playmaker that will get his hands on balls. Cade Otton, good news here. He was limited yesterday, full participant today. Hassan Reddick just dealt with something personal, not injury-related. That's what NIR stands for. On Wednesday, full participant today. And then Sean Tucker, dealing with a hand injury, was full both days. So that is the Bucs injury news. Out on Godwin, out on Wirfs, potentially Vita Vea. That's 1 first-team All-Pro and 2 Pro Bowlers, potentially with Vita Vea. And then likely Christian Izien, who's a versatile depth piece that does play a big role in this defense. So we'll see how this shapes out tomorrow. I'm not going to ramble on it for too long. I think I've rambled on it enough on the Bucs side of things. For the Falcons, Darnell Mooney, I think, is one of the big ones that's been dealing with an injury throughout the offseason. He was limited Wednesday and Thursday. Seems like he's going to be on track to be able to go. Other one to call out, honestly, that's it. In terms of guys that were like surprised about, Darnell Mooney is really the only one I'll call out. All right, I'll leave this up for a bit while I ramble on about. Let's first up talk about the Bucs O versus the Falcons defense. Talked about it in my episode of the Ops yesterday. Very, very, very inexperienced defense for the Atlanta Falcons. You don't know what you're going to get. It could be, oof, that's not pretty, or it could be surprising, like, wow, these young players, they're good prospects, and they actually showed up in week 1. You don't know what you're going to get, and it's kind of annoying as someone who's trying to preview a game. It's difficult to preview when there's basically 5 rookies starting for the Falcons on defense. 4 actual rookies, and then Rook Ororo, technically not a rookie, but barely had any playing time last year. Looks like he's getting his real significant playing time this year. Very difficult to predict what they have going on defense. Caden Ellis is a beast. Jesse Bates, all-pro. AJ Terrell, very solid. So interested to see how all of those guys line up against this Bucs offense, who is missing some major pieces in Wirfs and Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan. So Emeka Egbuka, keep an eye out. Egbuka on Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes, I think he's a decent corner. I don't think he's anything special. But first game for Emeka Egbuka. He's playing in the same stadium that he just won the national championship in. I expect him to have a huge game. He's been all the rave during, training camp, preseason. He looks fantastic. The locker room couldn't love him more. The coaches couldn't love him more. Now it's time to see it in real game action that actually matters, and I expect him to show up and have a really good game. Mike Evans very often balls out against the Atlanta Falcons, usually gets the best of AJ Terrell. I think he had 2 touchdowns in Atlanta last year, and then, of course, he was injured for the game in Tampa along with Chris Godwin. So we'll see how Mike Evans does. I expect him, as always, to have a pretty nice game against the Falcons. As for the Falcons and how they're attacking the Bucs, of course, they are looking at Charlie Heck with a red dot, like aimed in, ready to shoot. That's where they're going to attack. They drafted these young guys, Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., and they think they are ready to go. Not necessarily starters, but getting significant playing time in a rotation with Leonard Floyd. So we know they're going to attack Charlie Heck. You got Luke Gedeke on the other side, who's a staple on this offensive line, and I think everyone expects him to have a good game, but it's that other side where we are a little bit concerned. Charlie Heck, I don't have a ton of faith in. I hope he proves me wrong, but I do not have a ton of faith in Charlie Heck. Do I have faith in Josh Grizzard, though, to kind of like bubble wrap him and do everything he can to help Charlie Heck? Yes. So that's where I can gain some confidence. Not necessarily in Heck's ability, but in Josh Grizzard's thought process of putting Payne Durham on his side and giving him a chip block. Having Rashad White, maybe a pony package with Rashad White and Bucky Irving on the field at the same time. Bucky goes out for a pass. Rashad is in there to put a chip on the edge rusher who is battling Charlie Heck. Things like that. Of course, the offensive line. That left guard is almost always going to slide to Charlie Heck's side. So there's a bunch of things that they can and will do to assist Charlie Heck. I mean, we saw last year, there is no Aiden Hutchinson. Nothing even close to an Aiden Hutchinson on the Falcons' defensive line. And the Bucs were able to win in Detroit last year without Luke Gedeke, without a starting tackle. So we know it can be done. We've seen it on tape. Aiden Hutchinson did have 4 sacks that game, but regardless of the fact, the Bucs still ended up winning that game, found a way, did just enough. So it can be done. Charlie Heck being out there is not an automatic loss. Like, the world is ending. This offense isn't going to be able to do anything with that type of pressure coming from the left side. They'll be able to do the things that I just mentioned all throughout the game to try and limit any pressure coming from Baker's blind side. So that's going to be a big thing to watch, absolutely. And I expect these young guys and Leonard Floyd to attack that as much as they can. We'll see how it plays out. Then I want to talk a little bit about Jesse Bates before I flip sides. He's a beast, bro. He is an absolute beast and shows up everywhere, every single time. He has joined the Falcons, and we have played the Falcons. He is everywhere on the field. He's such a good safety. Top 3 easily, in my opinion. I'd probably go Kyle Hamilton, Jesse Bates, and a healthy Antoine Winfield Jr. as that top 3. He's going to make tackles. He's going to have some pass breakups likely, but just don't allow him to make those game-changing plays is really the goal. Punch the ball out. We saw him do that last year. Get an interception. He's a playmaker. That's exactly what he is. And from the safety position, just like we know with Antoine Winfield Jr. when he's healthy, playmaker. They can make game-changing plays. Falcons fans know that with Antoine Winfield Jr. They've seen it 2 years in a row now at this point. Once punching the ball out at the goal line from Desmond Ridder, and then last year punching the ball at the goal line for Kyle Pitts, except the NFL magically didn't have cameras on the goal line, we don't got to go there. All right, so let's flip sides and talk about things that are a little bit more predictable. It's still a little unpredictable just because of Michael Penix and him only starting 3 games, but let's go Falcons O versus Bucs D. Same situation on the other side. The Falcons are missing their right tackle in Caleb McGarry and their backup tackle in Storm Norton, so now they're going with a third-string guy, Elijah Wilkinson, I believe is his name. I said it in the video yesterday, digging in to the Atlanta Falcons and just breaking down their entire team. Caleb McGarry is much more of a premier run blocker than pass blocker. So I think that's where the Bucs are getting most of their advantage with Caleb McGarry being out in this game and the next time they play, is being able to stop the run. So there's so much talk on all these platforms about Hassan Reddick going out there and just having an insane day in his first game with the Buccaneers. Is it possible? Absolutely. At the end of the day, he's playing a third-string tackle. He should ball out. But in terms of what Caleb McGarry brought to their offensive line, that run game, that run blocking, is what his specialty was. So that's where they're really taking a hit. So we'll see what Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier will be able to do with him being out. And then, of course, at center, Ryan Nuzul did get some time last year. I think he was okay. But he wasn't Drew Dahlman, and they lost Drew Dahlman in free agency, and he was a very good center. He got paid. Falcons decided not to pay him. They get to pick and choose, who they let go, and I think they wanted to keep him, the Falcons, and their fan base, but it's a decent amount of money for a center, and they end up letting him go. So Ryan Nuzul, we'll see what he ends up bringing to the table on a more consistent basis as the solidified starter for the Atlanta Falcons. So I talked about it, like I said a little bit yesterday, that continuity, it's a big deal along the offensive line. You have a new center, you have a new right tackle. Continuity is huge. As Bucs fans, we know that, and they are down 2 of the guys who contributed to that continuity over the last couple seasons. So we'll see how this new look offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons in terms of these 2 newer guys. I know Nuzul had some time last year, but for sure Elijah Wilkinson at right tackle. We'll see how that plays out. The Falcons absolutely killed the Bucs last year on underneath passes, up the seam, down the middle. Anything between the hashes was a green light for the Falcons and Kirk Cousins during Kirktober last year. Like I said, I'm not going to blame things on injuries, but personnel does matter. Lavonte David did have a practice squad linebacker playing next to him. Antoine Field Jr., free safety, plays in the middle of the field. Did miss that first game in Atlanta where Kirk threw for 500 plus yards. The Bucs are now moving Tyke Smith to strong safety to pair up with a healthy Antoine Field Jr. Servassier Dennis, who is Lavonte David's normal pairing. He's the starter, not KJ Britt or JJ Russell, these practice squad guys who were in there last year against the Falcons. He's here, and he's ready to go. A pass coverage linebacker against the Atlanta Falcons. Finally. So anyone saying that the Bucs are going out there and they didn't make enough changes to their defense to be able to compete with what the Falcons did to them last year, there's some big changes. Not even necessarily big pickups. If we want to talk about pickups, we can talk about Hassan Reddick. We can talk about their new nickel and Jacob Parrish. We can talk about Benjamin Morrison. Hopefully he's able to play. Just getting guys back from injury. Having Servassier Dennis, I've said it all offseason, is going to be an absolute game changer for this Bucs defense. So him being back and being next to Lavonte David, it's going to free up so much for this defense and allow Todd Bowles to blitz how he wants to, play coverage on the outside how he wants to. So I'm excited to see that, see what these blitz packages looks like. He's going to be able to finally send Servassier Dennis on a blitz and have Lavonte David play some coverage rather than Lavonte David having to go on every single blitz and having a KJ Britt or a JJ Russell play coverage and just get absolutely torched between the hashes. I'm excited. I'm excited to see this defense, if you cannot tell. So, giving the Falcons a little bit of credit, Drake London, he's gonna get his. Drake London is a beast in the slot. I'd say a top 5 slot receiver for sure. He gets his. That's just how it goes. He's a big body guy and finds the holes in the defense and does a great job with that. He's going to get his. Darnell Mooney, I'm sure, will get his if he plays on Jamel Dean at certain points of the game. Kyle Pitts. We'll see what he's able to do against the Bucs. The Bucs are unfortunately usually his biggest game of the year. Each year, we always talk about how Kyle Pitts, when is he going to show up like overall as a tight end, consistent throughout the year. But the 2 games he usually shows up is against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, unfortunately. And we'll see how they'll be able to handle him with Servase Dennis finally in there, with Tyke Smith back there next to a healthy Antoine Winfield Jr. Hopefully, they'll be able to keep him in check like every other team in the NFL does. Overall, I think this is going to be a close, exciting game. There should be a good amount of points put up on the board. All right, the line is at 47.5, so 48. You're looking at an implied score with the Bucs being 2-point favorites on the road. You're looking at an implied score of about 25 to 23, Bucs winning. It's going to be a close game. I truly do believe that. I don't think either team is going to run away with this one. Bucs obviously dealing with more injuries than the Falcons are. Of course, that right tackle missing is a big deal for the Falcons, but outside of that, they're a pretty damn healthy team going into week 1. Lucky them. Where the Buccaneers, of course, are missing some top-tier guys, a first-team All-Pro, Pro Bowler, and we'll see what happens with Vita Vea. So we'll see how this game plays out. Excited for it. Can't wait to travel up to Atlanta. Never been to Mercedes-Benz, so I'm excited to see what that stadium looks like. In pictures and videos, it looks absolutely gorgeous. So excited to be in there, get to my seats, and see what type of atmosphere that Atlanta fan base can build. And just have some fun, man. Football's back. I'm going to end this video so that I can edit it and just sit on my couch and watch Cowboys-Eagles like the rest of you guys probably did or are going to do. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments in the comment section below, your predictions for the game. Love all the trash talk that happened on the last video between Bucs fans and Falcons fans in my comments. It's just, I'm just pumped, happy that football is back. Like I just feel like I'm 5'11". I feel like I'm 6'1" now that football's back. Like I just feel like a new person. Best time of the year, man. Best time of the year. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Go Bucs. Y'all have a blessed one. Falcons fans, see y'all in Atlanta.
Hey, hey, Tampa Bay.